A prisoner is hanged in a dark torture room. A bright light bulb is burning just above his head. The hands are tied. His whole body was soaked in blood and wounds. Even his legs are tied so that he cannot put up any resistance. A fly is sitting on his face. Blood is spilled, slowly moving around the face. But still the prisoner appears to be fully employed. As if none of these matters. After so much interrogation and torture, the first word that came out of his mouth was food. The officer was shocked to hear this. One of the torturers said, "The South Korean army might feed their spies, but not us." The prisoner said, "If you give me some food, I will tell you everything you want to know." "I'm dying of hunger." The officer asked. "Really?" He replied, "Yes, just give me some food. I'll do it all." What was my purpose? How did I get here? All officers accepted the offer. "You will get food, but in return you will have to tell everything." I joined the army only to stay alive. But now I'm starving to death. The officer ordered food to be brought from the kitchen. But when a subordinate questioned him, he angrily silenced him. "Tomorrow we have to hand over this prisoner to our superiors. If we don't get anything, he takes all the credit." Now the prisoner was lowered to the ground and served food. Spoons and chopsticks were given, but the hands were still chained. He grabbed the spoon with his fingers and began to take the soup. "There is no taste for this soup." Then he picked up a chopstick and said, "Military food always tastes like crap." A subordinate said, "Taste that later. But first, tell me about yourself." Suddenly, the same chopstick goes straight into the head of the head officer. At first, the officer didn't understand what was happening. And then he falls on the table. The rest of the soldiers are stunned. They don't understand anything. The prisoner said the taste of the food matters. Now he has a second chopstick in his hand. All the torturers run towards him, but he destroys everyone with the same stick. Now he himself says, "I am a senior intelligence sergeant. My name is Jangan. I did infiltration by swimming in the sea, and my mission was to eliminate all of you, and I did it." Then he looks at the same fly that was previously hovering over his face. He hit it with a stick and killed it. A while after, now the story shifts to a small restaurant in Seoul City. Jangan is sitting with Lieutenant Colonel Park, his boss. Park says, "There's no one like you in our unit. Why do you want to leave?" Jangan smiles and says that the food of the military does not taste good anymore. But the food here is amazing. Park laughingly adds meat chunks to the bone soup and gives the rest to Jangan. Jangan picks up a piece of chopstick and says, "I don't follow the same eating style as you." He mixes a little rice in the soup and says that in this way the food can be enjoyed till the end without making the leftover rice soggy. Park then asks, "Are you leaving all this because of that operation?" Jangan casually asks, "What operation?" "I have just returned after completing a mission." Park says, "The one in which you returned alone, yet you did not fail." He remains silent for a while, and then simply says, "Thank you. You've helped me a lot. It gave me a way to live." Then Park says, "You've done everything right. I hope people will recognize your talent, even if you leave now." Time shifts. A year later, at a construction site, two workers are praising Jangan. "How smart is this guy? He is an expert in lifting heavy loads and digging." At lunch break, Jangan goes to the bank. There is a girl at the counter who is dealing with an old woman. The girl's eyes fall on Jangan and he smiles at her. This is where it all began. A year ago, when he started working in the construction company. When he got his first salary, the owner advised him, saving a little money for the future. Then Jangan himself did not know what to do in the future, but still went to the nearby bank in the lunch break. And that's where he saw the girl for the first time and fell in love at first sight. Then he used to go to the bank every day for lunch, just to see her. He found out that Siona comes from a poor family and got a job straight after high school. Jangan said he was a soldier. Siona asked, "You didn't save money while in the army?" He had said that he gave all his money to the families of the dead members of his team, who died in the war. Now he's working hard again to raise money. Even today he has gone to the bank to deposit some money. Siona laughed and said, "Deposit money once a month. It is not so important to come every day." He said, "I don't have any problem. I can see you every day." That's enough. He now had a reason to live. But he didn't live well. In the next scene, we see that he was listening to the news on the TV while lying on the couch of the house. Old memories haunt him. As a child, he learned all kinds of skills. Missions with high difficulty and yet survived. Just then there is a knock on the door. He asks who is there. A sound comes from outside. Are you First Sergeant Jangon? He opens the door a little and asks who are you? It all starts when the door opens and the man standing in front introduces himself as Taemoon. He says he and Jangon have worked together before. Jangon is surprised to see Taemoon in such a stylish look. Expensive watch, branded clothes, everything classy. Jangon asks, how did you find me? Taemoon replies that he searched everywhere but finally found it. Then he comes straight to the point. I have a job for you. Jangon asks what type of job. Taemoon smiles and says the same type in which you are best. Jangon immediately becomes serious and says I don't want to get my hands dirty again for money. Taemoon explains that no, we don't want you to kill anyone, we just want to teach someone a lesson. Jangon asks directly, tell me the truth, what do you want? Taemoon explains that although he appears to be a successful entrepreneur from the outside, he is actually a gang boss and the person they have to deal with is the leader of another gang. Jangon clearly says that he did not leave the army just to get involved in some dark work again. Taemoon taunts and says so you left the army to work at a construction site and live in this condition. Jangon warns him to talk things carefully. Taemoon makes his last move. If you do this work, then I will give you 50 million. With this much money you can buy a good house or open your own business. Jangon thinks that he will not be able to save that much money even in 10 years by doing construction work. Taemoon gives him his visiting card and says, if you change your mind, then come and meet me. While leaving he says one more thing. It is strange that a person tries run away from his greatest talent like this. Jangon places the card on the side table. Lying on the ground, he thinks, I didn't come here to live like this, but maybe I should try a little more. Let me see if I can really live without doing that. While thinking, he falls asleep. The next day, upon reaching the construction site, his boss asks him to lift a lot of bags of cement. He asks where are the other workers. The boss laughs and says that today I have called only you because you can carry heavy loads even alone. Jangon looks at his face and thinks, is this guy really serious? Meanwhile, Siona and her colleague are drinking tea outside the bank. Siona looks towards the sky and says I don't know how he will spend today. Colleague asks why. By the way, a smile comes on your face at lunchtime. Siona tries to avoid it, but the colleague gets into teasing mode. You are too sweet for Jangon. Seems like you are interested in him. Siona says he just comes every day to collect money at lunch. I am treating him like a regular customer. The colleague then says that anyway he is neither handsome nor rich. Siona feels a little awkward about this but then laughingly says that even if the looks are not good, the body is good. Colleague says that if he lifts stones every day at the construction site, he will definitely develop a body. Siona remembers her father was also in construction, but his body was not like that. Then she glares at her colleague and says, you are hiding the secret of your affair with your manager from me, so don't interfere in my matters. In the next scene, we see Siona sitting on her seat thinking about something. Just then, Jangon enters the bank and waves to Siona. She thinks that lunch break has not even happened yet. How did he come so quickly? Jangon says I will be a little busy today so I came early. Siona asks have you come to deposit money in the account? He smiles. No, I just came to see you. I am going for some work. Then he waves goodbye and says he will deposit a lot of money when he comes back. Siona's cheeks turn slightly red. Did he really come just to see me? Jangon then gets a ticket to Daesan and catches the bus to meet Taemoon. Sitting in the bus, he looks at the visiting card and thinks that maybe doing all this will make things better. When he arrives in Daesan, Taemoon and his driver are already standing ready. As soon as he gets in the car, Taemoon shows a photo. The target's name is Gwanho. He explains that they are both fighting over the rights to casino slot machines. But according to the rules, he cannot kill him directly. Otherwise, the rights of the machines will be lost. So, if there is an outsider who has nothing to do with the case, If the guanho is neutralized, the work will become smoother. But he also gives a warning. Guanho knows that someone will come to kill him, so he is under full security. Let's wait a bit until his guard is down. Jangin looks at the watch and asks what time is it. Taemoon replies a little surprised. It's past 12 o'clock. Jangin smiles and says so there is still time till 4:30. Bank closing time. He says confidently, let's meet Guanho now. I will finish the work quickly so that you can deposit the money before the bank closes. Taemoon laughs and says, but if you go now then you will have to fight with full security. Jangin just says one line, that's fine. I have survived tougher missions before. Taemoon takes him to a hotel where Guanho and his goons are having lunch. He warns Jangin. The guy who always stays with Guanho is no ordinary guard. Earlier, he was a Syrian, Korean wrestling player. Jangin smiles slightly and asks, by the way, what is the best dish in this restaurant? The driver replies that the fried dumplings here are quite famous. Jangin says okay, I will come soon, and gets out of the car. Guanho is happily eating food inside. All his men are sitting together. Jangin sits at a corner table a short distance away. Hot fried dumplings in front. He mixes soy sauce and vinegar in a 1-to-1 ratio. He sprinkles red pepper powder on top and dips the dumplings and eats them. As soon as he takes a bite, he says to himself, thank God. What a great taste. After completing, in the amidst this silence, he picks up his drink glass and throws it in the direction of Guanho, which hits the wall and breaks. Guanho's fat man angrily asks, what's wrong with you? Jangin says coolly, I was getting irritated by the sound of your boss chewing food. I am in a fighting mood. Guanho stares at him in surprise and signals to his men. Teach him a lesson. All the goons run towards Jangin. Within a short time, the restaurant floor is covered with food, broken furniture, and injured bodies. Only Jangin stands, hands in pockets, while Guanho stands leaning against a wall, completely injured. Guanho asks in surprise, who are you? How come I don't know such a guy in this field? Jangin replies smirking, just an outsider who gets angry easily. Guanho, whose nose is bleeding, asks who sent you? Then he says, you work for me and I will give you double what he has given you. Jangin thinks that means Taemoon said he will give me 50 million. So, this man has to give 100 million. Wow! Guanho says money doesn't matter. Jangin interrupts, meaning what did you leave incomplete? Then he realizes that someone is standing behind him. The same heavy bodyguard with a stool in his hand, ready to attack. As he attacks, Jangin blocks with his hands, but feels a terrible pain, as if something has broken. The bodyguard attacks again, but Jangin quickly kicks him in the middle. The bodyguard screams in pain and falls unconscious. Jangin looks at Guanho again and asks, what time is it? Guanho looks at his watch. It's not even 2 o'clock yet. Jangin laughs and says, finished with good time, and leaves. In the next scene, we see Jangin and Taemoon coming out of the bank. Jangin's money has been deposited in the account. Taemoon says, I can't believe we reached the bank before it closed. He asks, what will you do with this money now? Jangin says, I don't know. I saw some apartments near the bus terminal in the morning. Maybe I'll buy one. Taemoon advises, that area is not good. See something in the center of the Seoul. Jangin says everyone is investing in stocks. I can also try it. Taemoon asks in which stock. Then he himself says, buy electronics. Provides electricity to the entire country. There's no chance of drowning, Jangin replies. Sam Electronics seems fine. The new chairman is a smart guy. Suddenly, he feels the same pain as if he'd been electrocuted. He says, let's go to the hospital. It's hurting again. Taemoon laughs and says, don't worry. I'll take you to the hospital I usually go to after a sprain or injury. Jangin asks, surprised, do you go there regularly? Taemoon smiles. Yes. The doctor there isn't even surprised to see me anymore. At the hospital, the doctor looks at the X-ray and says, both your arms are fractured. It'll take at least a month. Jangin is shocked. I'll have to stay like this for a month. The doctor gives a stern warning. If you use your arms, healing will be delayed even further. Taemoon jokes, "Now you'll have some trouble." Then they both sit in a bar and have a drink. Jangin asks, "Can I drink in this condition?" Taemoon laughs and says, "You taught me that in the army. Drink, wounds heal." Jangin laughs and says, "It's been a while since I heard that line." Both reminisce about their old days in the army. Taemoon says, "I knew you were strong, but I didn't expect you to kill so many people single-handedly." Jangin asks, "You had weapons too?" Taemoon replies, "Yes, short guns are available locally. I smuggle pistols from Russia." Jangin jokingly says, "You found the right job." Taemoon becomes serious. "No, the army suited me better." He asks Jangin, "Special forces was perfect for you. Then why did you leave?" Jangin falls silent. Then sadly he says, "I and 3 of my juniors went on a mission. Only I came back alive." And that's where the layers of his past begin to unravel. Taemoon is shocked to hear Jangin's truth. Jangin softly says, "I felt I had no right to stay in that job anymore, so I left." He adds, "I thought maybe those 3 would come to me in my dreams, but they never did. Maybe they hate me a lot." Taemoon remains silent for a moment. Then he says, "Let's have another drink." Both look at the empty bottles scattered around and realize they've had too much to drink. Jangin stands up and says, "I'm leaving." Taemoon stops him and asks, "How are you going to get home now?" Jangin says, "I'll take the bus. I just want to sleep in my bed." Taemoon says, "Let's book a hotel. You can leave in the morning." But Jangin refuses and leaves. On the way, Jangin realizes he's eaten too much. He sits on a bench, but is so drunk that he falls asleep. Just then, a van from the homeless guidance center passes by. They see Jangin lying unconscious, plastered on both arms. They think he's a homeless drunk in need of help. They pick him up and take him to the welfare facility. Jangin's dream begins. He's standing in a field in the dark. Someone is calling his name. He turns back and sees 2 boys in uniform, the same lockets around their necks. His junior who was killed on the mission. Then he sees a gun on the ground. He picks it up and puts it to his head. He says, "If that's what you want, I'll do it." Suddenly, he wakes up. Someone claps in front of him, waking him up. Jangin wakes up. His arm still hurts. He asks, "Who are you? Where am I?" The boy replies, "My name is Lee Sunjo, and this place is the Daesan welfare facility. And the clothes you're wearing are the inmate uniforms here." Jangin gets up startled and starts to leave. But the door is locked from the inside. He asks, "Why is it locked from the inside?" Sunjo says, "That's what I was going to tell you. This place is actually a detention center where people are forcibly imprisoned." Jangin is shocked. Just then, voices come from behind. "What are you 2 doing there?" Sunjo says softly, "He's our platoon leader. Temper is very bad. Don't irritate him." Jangin notices the keys on his arm. He stares and demands, "Give me the keys." Hearing this, he tries to kick Jangin, but Jangin easily dodges his kick. Then Jangin goes to punch him. But Jangin remembers the doctor's strict warning against using his arms, so he doesn't raise his hand. 2 of the leader's men say, "Allow me to crush him." The leader says, "Send him to the ward." One man steps forward to attack Jangin, but Jangin thinks, "I can defeat these 2 even with my injured arms. But if Sunjo is right and they forcefully stop us, escape will be impossible." Just then, Sunjo intervenes. He says, "This guy just arrived last night. He doesn't know what this place is or who the commander is." The commander understands. Sunjo continues, "Give him a chance. I'll teach him everything." The commander says, "Okay, but he'll have to apologize." Sunjo gently tells Jangin to bow his head and say it was his mistake. Jangin is still shocked, but understanding the situation, he slowly bows his head and apologizes. The commander immediately punches him and tells him to behave himself. Then he orders everyone to prepare for roll call. As they line up, Sunjo says, "Good job. I'll explain everything." Jangin looks around. There are 24 people, including him. Sunjo opens the door. As they leave, Jangan asks, "Where are you going now?" Sunjo says, "To breakfast." Jangan gets a little excited when he hears breakfast, but he looks at the surroundings and thinks, this isn't an army camp, isn't it? A prison? But it feels the same. Everything is closed. But this is called breakfast. He thinks, if I had chopsticks, I'd shove them between the eyes of this manager. But they only get a spoon. While eating, Sunjo explains that this place is for homeless people. Jangan interrupts him. I'm not homeless. Sunjo says, there's no one here. In fact, they bring anyone they can. He says, everyone. We get money from the government, and for that very money, the welfare workers forcibly lock us up. Jangan is shocked. Who does this to humans? Just then, two men enter the hall. Well-dressed, with a gentle-looking look. Sunjo whispers, these are the men. The one with glasses is the one imprisoning humans. Guang is the vice president, and the tall one is Yom, the general manager. For Jangan, this place has now become another mission. A system that is enslaving humanity. Jangan looks anxiously at the two suited men and guesses an inspection is underway. Guang, the one wearing glasses, approaches him coldly and asks, how did you get those injuries on your arms? Sunjo quickly replies, this is a new inmate. He just arrived last night. Guang narrows his eyes and asks, can he live on welfare in this condition? Sunjo smiles politely and says, I'm taking good care of him. I'll teach him everything. Guang nods, giving his approval. He immediately says, I want to be an honor student. Guang gives a slight smug nod. He understands Sunjo's true motive. Then he turns to Jangan and asks, how did the food taste? Jangan looks him straight in the eyes and says flatly, this food is terrible. It's not even fit for humans. Guang pauses for a few seconds. His face darkens. What did you say? Sunjo's face falls. Everything was going well, but now it's collapsing. Jangan still doesn't stop. Everything is rotten. Humans shouldn't be fed like this. The next moment, Guang picks up the food tray and pours it over Jangan's head. Then, he smashes the tray on his head and growls. Be thankful we're giving you food, and you're complaining. Jangan's eyes flare with anger, but his fractured arms prevent him from doing anything. Guang yells at Sunjo, teach him properly, and walks away. He sits next to him. Jangan, feeling humiliated, tries to clean himself with his broken arms. Jangan and Sunjo look outside, brushing the ground, which is their assigned task. Jangan grumbles angrily. Clothes were not drying, had to wear wet clothes. Sunjo Kami says if you work under the sun, it will dry up, and thankfully all this did not happen after some time. Jangan is still filled with anger. Such behavior with humans is unethical. Then an old bald man comes with clothes in his hand. Clearly another inmate says the new guy is absolutely right. Jangan notices his way of talking is very strange. Sunjo calls him Your Excellency. Jangan is shocked. Who is this president talking to? Then another inmate comes from behind and shouts, Your Excellency, you have to do the laundry. What are you doing here? Your Excellency says angrily, why do I always have to do everything? Jangan asks, why are you calling him Your Excellency? Sunjo replies, he doesn't pretend to be the president. He really thinks he's the president. Sunjo tells that the man had returned from the Vietnam War, and after that his mental state deteriorated. Seeing the bold president on the news scares him because he himself is becoming bolder and doesn't even look at himself in the mirror anymore. Jangan takes a deep breath. Very unfortunate. He had to make such a journey. Then he asks, how do you know all this? Sunjo says his friend was also locked up here. He told everything, but he died due to some disease. Jangan is shocked. Sunjo says softly, people die here. Some from the younger ones, some from illness, or some from beatings by the staff or platoon leader. He further says, do you remember the leader had said that we have to send you to the ward? Ward means there is no treatment here, we just leave you till you die. Jangan grits his teeth. These people are truly evil. Then a loud voice comes, everyone go to the sports field. Sunjo says softly, today is inquiry day and you will see him, the worst person. Everyone gathers, waiting for the welfare director Inya, who is standing in the queue. He comes and starts his useless speech. Every tree in this world has some value or the other. So is every human being, but you guys, you all are useless. Twisted, unattractive trees. He further says that just as Jesus was a carpenter, so am I. I cut and trim useless trees like yours and make them usable. Everyone claps out of compulsion. Jangin feels disgusted. He pretends as if he is listening. But deep inside he is boiling. He observes the structure of the entire facility. The base has been made by cutting the mountain from the middle. High walls all around, just one main gate and an edge where the mountain has been cut to form a cliff. There are no walls there, but escape is impossible. Injured arms and security guards are ready all around. He walks off stage. He hugs both his sons, Guang and Yom, and says, "Thank you, my children, for taking care of this facility." But for Jangin, this place is a colony wearing the mask of welfare, run by devils in suits. Guang steps up to the stage and announces the honor student's name. A spark of hope appears in Sunjo's eyes. He feels that maybe this time it will be his name. Jangin asks him, what does honor student mean? Sunjo explains in excitement that the one who is sent home is called an honor student. Guang takes the name Duyong. He calls him on the stage and asks me to say something. Duyong thanks and happily says, "Finally, I am going home." He is taken to the staff office, where he asks, "When will I be sent home?" Guang says the doctor will come and do the last checkup and then he will send him away. The doctor comes in a while. He does a general checkup and declares him completely healthy. Then the doctor gives him an injection. "These are nutrients. Will keep you healthy outside too." The next minute Duyong faints. 2 people pick him up and take him out. Guang tells them to take off her outfit. "We'll give it to the new guy. Money will be saved." The doctor is surprised to see him. "Even in such a situation, you are thinking of saving money." Guang sarcastically sneers. "I am not like you, who spent all the money on gambling and is now working under me." He warns him to keep quiet. Now Duyong lies unconscious in an operation theater. Doctor asks assistant what is today's order. He says liver and kidney. The assistant says, "Won't you give him anesthesia? If not, he can get up." The doctor angrily says, "Just do what I say." Just then Duyong comes to his senses, sits up, and asks, "What place is this?" The doctor says, "I am just examining you. Don't be afraid." Duyong punches him hard and runs away. Hearing the commotion, the general manager arrives. He punches Duyong hard in the face and drags him back to the operating room, closing the door. On the other hand, Taemoon and his friend are sitting in a restaurant. Friend tells that Guanho and his entire team are admitted in the hospital. The organization has completely come to a standstill. Congressman Choi's office has given him the rights to the slot machine business. Putting the ball down, Taemoon laughs and says that I am definitely going to have a hangover today. Friend says Choi found out everything in just one day. He immediately approved the deal. Taemoon laughs and says that Choi is clever, that is why he became a member of parliament. The friend says, "I want to cut the ribbon while opening the slot machine. Is there any problem?" While eating fried dumplings, Taemoon remembers when Jangin asked for the restaurant's special dish. He smiles. These fried dumplings are really amazing. Then he wonders if Jangin reached home safely. His arms are also fractured. Meanwhile, at the Daesan welfare facility, Jangin is capping shampoo bottles. Sunjo asks, "You didn't even tell me your name." He casually says his name is Jangin. Sunjo then asks, "What work did you do outside?" Jangin thinks and says that he did all the work that required physical strength. Sunjo asks, "Did the arms get injured on the same job?" Jangin remembers the fat man who had hit the chair and says yes. The platoon commander comes and asks, "Is it necessary to talk while working?" Sunjo gets scared. "Sorry, sir." The commander then asks Jangin, "What did you do in front of the vice president that made him angry?" Then he himself says, "Forget it, be careful next time." Jangin remains silent. The commander hits him on the head. "Answer it." Jangin gives a small laugh and says, "Yes, sir." Then he sees the keys hanging from his arm and asks Sunjo, "Why is this barak door locked from inside? Why don't you lock it from outside?" Sunjo explains. During the inspection, someone said that closing from outside looks like prison. Since then we lock it from inside. Sunjo further explains that commanders are those who were powerless outside. Now that he has power, he does not consider himself a prisoner. Now Jangin starts to understand everything. Sunjo says with hesitation that he is feeling jealous. That guy must have reached home by now and I am still stuck here. On the other hand, the doctor gives an organ box to the general manager. He requests not to tell the vice president about the morning incident. The manager glares at him and kicks him straight in the stomach. Then he says, "Speak up, sir, and learn to accept your mistakes." He throws an envelope full of money in front of him and leaves. As soon as the doctor sees the shine of money, he forgets all guilt and pain. Now his mind is only on today's gambling win. In the next scene, we see the general manager approach the smuggler and give him the organ box. Smugglers pay him good money. He goes to his father. He gives away all the money. His father praises him. "You did a good job. Now take rest." He puts the money in an already filled wallet and locks it. Everyone is sleeping at night. But the next morning they are forcibly woken up again and life goes back to the same dark cycle. While making his bed, Jangin was thinking that it has been 4 days since he came here and now he has become accustomed to this life. The intense training he underwent during his active career helped him adjust to this environment. But one thing he still finds unappealing is food. But until both his arms heal, he has no option. So he makes himself believe that he is on an operation for survival. He thinks that till a few days ago he was not afraid of anything. Not even in deadly missions. But now he is worried about one thing. He can't meet Siona during lunch break. He thought she might forget him if he doesn't go to bank. On the other hand, Siona is also waiting for him and is looking towards the door with the hope that maybe he will come. One of her colleagues tells her to come and have lunch as it is lunch break. Standing outside the bank, Siona wonders why Jangin hasn't come in so long. While leaving he had said that he would return with a lot of money. She hopes he's okay and nothing bad has happened to him. At that time, Jangin is thinking that he has been forcibly stopped here and both his arms are injured. Siona imagines that maybe he had an accident. Meanwhile, the platoon leader slaps him hard because he was working slowly. An old man says he will do the extra work. Just don't hit him because he's injured. The platoon commander grabs the old man and yells at him to stop taking sides and reminds him that he's out of his mind. He replies that he is in his right mind and is the president of the country. The commander punches him hard and leaves. Jangin sees the old man crying in pain and his anger explodes. He stands up and starts yelling angrily. The platoon leader stops and turns around, angrily asking if he's gone mad. But Jangin remains quiet and doesn't respond. The platoon leader's 2 men stare at him angrily. Jangin looks at them and thinks that if they interfere, he will finish them off too. One of them runs to attack him, but Jangin jumps into the air and kicks him hard in the face. The kick is so powerful that the platoon leader falls to the ground and is knocked unconscious. The other 2 run to attack him. Jangin thinks it's difficult to tackle 3 people despite both arms being injured. But both of these are easy. He smugly looks at one of them so that he loses his cool and the plan works. That boy attacks again and again. But Jangin dodges it every time. Then, seizing the right moment, he kicks him in the back knee, due to which he screams in pain. Then Jangin lands an upper kick to his chin and knocks him down as well. He knocks out the 3rd one with just 1 kick. All the prisoners are surprised that a single man defeats 3 people. After doing all this, Jangin realizes that he has lost his temper and if any employee comes here, he might face problems and that is what happens. A welfare worker comes in and asks what all the commotion is about. Suddenly, all the inmates become silent. When the worker sees the leader lying on the ground, he takes out his stick and points it towards Jangin and asks, "Did you do all this?" Jangin doesn't say anything and thinks he can get rid of him if he kicks him, throws his stick and headbutts him in the face, then kicks him in the stomach. But then he questions himself. Would it be right to do this? If he does this, then he will defeat this man. But then there will be high walls, steel gates and staff who will stop him with full force. And if they find out that he killed their man, they will get even more angry. In such a situation, it would be difficult to save his arms. He can even take down some without using his arms. But if the arms are further damaged, escape will become impossible. Therefore, the best option is that he apologizes. He bows down and says it was a mistake. At the same time, those two brothers also come there. Gwang asks, "Did you do all this?" Jangin wonders what could be a more complicated situation than this. Gwang laughs and says, "Wow, a man with a wounded hand defeated 3 people by himself. I thought he was just an idiot who only complains about the food. But he turned out to be much more than that." He asks, "What were you thinking while doing all this?" Then he himself says, "Do you have so much courage that you can even think about it?" Gwang tells him that according to the rule he made, platoon members always have to obey their leader, no matter what. Jangin wonders if this man really thinks he's God. Gwang says, staring at his face, "Your eyes still trying to think." He says, "You will be put in the punishment room for 3 days. Sunjo is also shocked to hear this. Jangin thinks punishment room means something like jail cell for 3 days is no big deal. Gwang turns to his brother and points to him. Yom comes forward and calls Jangin by name, but Jangin still remains silent. Yom gets angry and punches him in the face. Blood starts coming out of his nose. Then he says, "Answer, Gwang." Jangin says yes twice. Yom then kicks him in the stomach and tells him to speak louder. Jangin has to control himself, so he says yes to the work again. Yom gives him another punch in the back and says, "Speak loud and clear. Then I will send you to the punishment room." Gwang wants Jangin to be an example so that no one else will dare to go against him. An employee takes him out to lock him in the punishment room. Sunjo worries about what will happen to him there. As he leaves, Jangin looks back at him and smiles. Seeing him smiling, Sunjo thinks that perhaps his mind has really gone crazy. Walking towards the punishment room, Jangin remembers the hits he received and thinks that the general manager's punches were solid, but my punches are even harder. Once the arms heal, then you must fight with him. Then the welfare employee hits him on the head and says, "Hurry up." He replies, "Yes, I am coming," and thinks, "I have to play this one too sometime." On the other hand, Yom slaps the platoon leader on the face who was still unconscious. As soon as he hits him, he opens his eyes and screams. But seeing Yom in front of him, he immediately becomes silent. Yom tells him to go out, and tells the others to get back to work. Break over. The platoon leader is brought out. Gwang says, "I don't think you're fit to be a platoon leader." He replies, "No, it is not like that. I am definitely capable." Gwang grabs his badge and says, "How can someone who can be knocked down by a man without using his arms become a leader?" He thinks he is not weak. That man is very fast and strong. But he cannot tell this to Gwang, because if he told, he would be removed from the position of platoon leader. So he lies and says he was attacked from behind and knocked down. That's why he couldn't save himself. Gwang asks, "So you're trying to say that if it was a face-to-face fight you could have beaten him?" Then he places the order. "Okay, go and defeat him right now." The platoon leader gets nervous and asks, "Do I really have to fight him?" Gwang says, "How can you lead your platoon when you were knocked down in front of everyone by a guy who can't even use his arms?" He tells him that he has sent Jangin to the punishment cell for 3 days. He himself gets shocked after hearing this. Gwang smiles and says that their fight will happen when Jangin comes out of the punishment room. Now the platoon leader understands that Jangin has been deliberately sent there so that he becomes physically and mentally weak, and then it becomes easier to defeat him. Gwang pats his shoulder and asks, "Will you do this work now?" The leader says, "Yes, sir, I will definitely do it." As Jangin is taken down to the basement, there is a huge cell built there. He goes inside and sees some small rooms there. It occurs to him that he had imagined the punishment room as a solitary confinement. But he doesn't understand why they have made separate rooms in the basement. Then a man opens a small room and tells Jangin to go inside. But that is not a room but a locker in which barely one person can fit. He wonders if they really punish innocent people by locking them in such small lockers. The employee shouts at him and pointing the stick towards his arm says, "Go inside quickly, otherwise I will break your arm." Jangin somehow manages to sneak himself inside. He cannot even stand properly. The door is closed. The entire cell is filled with darkness and silence. Jangin thinks that when he was in military training, he was prepared for all kinds of torture, in which there was also a torture chamber when the enemy was caught, in which a person can neither sit, nor lie down, nor sleep. In this uncomfortable position, it is neither possible to eat, nor drink water, nor urinate. This torture is used to break a person physically and mentally. But how can these people apply this to civilians? The biggest tension is that he has to spend 3 days here. This is his first night in the torture chamber and his 5th night at the Daesan welfare facility. The 6th day begins when the sun begins to illuminate the sky with its light. But Jangin has no idea of time. He feels that maybe a day has passed. He's taking frequent naps from the exhaust. He is not sure whether he slept or just closed his eyes. But most of all, he is hungry. His tongue is repeating the same word again and again. Food. On the other hand, in the 3rd platoon hall, Sunjo is being badly beaten by the platoon leader. Everyone else is terrified by what they saw. Sunjo is crying in pain because he is not used to being hit like this. The platoon leader yells at him that he knows Sunjo supported Jangin while he was unconscious. Now tell me, how are you feeling? Getting beaten up for taking his side. Sunjo tries to say something, but the platoon leader kicks him and silences him. The platoon leader is abusing the others because they all rebelled together, but now everyone is acting as if they don't know anything. The platoon leader drags Sunjo by his hair and says, "Now I will show you what happens to those who go against their leader." He throws a punch on his face and then throws him on the ground and beats him with his boots. Your Excellency comes to stop him and asks why is he being so brutal? But the platoon leader kicks him too, causing him to fall on Sunjo. His 2 companions keep kicking both of them and calling them informants. In the next scene, we see Inya stuffing money into shoe boxes in the director's office. He puts the money in the bags and says that this is a bribe for government workers. He prepares 3 bags and says that all 3 contain the same amount. Just have to distribute them. Guang says that Yom should go with him this time. Yom agrees. Guang points to a big box that is set aside and asks what about it. His father, Inya, says it's for someone else. Yom asks why there is so much money in it. Inya tells that the person who will get it is not a simple government officer. He is very important for the management of this country. Guang and Yom sent out to bribe those government officials. On the way, Yom asks what help do these people provide to his business that they are getting so much reward. Guang says these people help in many ways. In the next scene, we see Daesan, a worker from the welfare department of the city hall, helping them get government funds. Guang gives him a gift bag and he replies that he should do more now. Guang says don't do anything else. Just keep doing your work well. He then goes to the city's seaside and meets the chief of the Daesan police station. The chief looks at the shoebox and says these shoes look heavy. Guang bows his head and says that the chief has to run across the country for the citizens, so keep running in these shoes. He then meets the district prosecutor on a deserted road and gives him a gift. The prosecutor, judging by the weight of the bag, says, "I like apples, but pears are fine too." Guang laughs and says that when the season comes, he will also give apples. As the prosecutor leaves, Guang mutters that it doesn't need to be. Take what is being offered. He tells Yom that these are the people who suppress every attempt someone makes to bring the whistleblowing truth to the public. Then he gives him some money. Yom is surprised and asks, "Did you take out some money from the bribe?" Guang replies, "Why give bribe if he gets nothing in return?" He says that last time also he had taken a small part and no one came to know. So, this time I brought him along because brothers should share the joy of good work. Yom thanks him. Getting into the car, Guang says he needs to eat something good now. After all, you have done a good job. In the restaurant, they order cooked meat. Guang wraps a piece of meat in herbs and lettuce leaves and feeds it to Yom with his hands. He watches him chew and says, "You eat very well." Both enjoy this little happiness. Then Yom asks if he is really going to make platoon leader and Jangin fight. Guang smiles and asks, "Why are you asking this? You think that someone who spent 3 days in the punishment room can win?" Yom says a normal person can't win. But Jangin had knocked down 3 prisoners despite having both his hands broken. Guang interrupts him. He asks if Yun thinks Jangin could be useful to them, if he's really that strong. Yom says that being useful is a different thing. But how can he listen to Guang when he can even defeat the platoon leader? Guang says that for now it is almost impossible. But if this time he is broken because of the punishment room, then he will start obeying everything he says. In the next scene, we see that it has been 3 days since Jangin was locked in that torture locker. He could not sleep at all for 2 days. His face looks like that of a defeated soldier with 100 years of pain in his eyes. He is hungry and his mouth is naming every food that comes to his mind. He is giving reasons to keep himself alive, looking for a reason not to give up. Then another reason comes before him, Siona. Her bright and smiling face starts flashing before his eyes. He remembers that he hasn't taken Siona to dinner yet. He thinks that when he asks her for dinner and Siona happily says yes, then she will ask what to eat, and he will say anything is fine as long as you are with me. Thinking this, he tries to keep himself alive. Then another night passes in that hell and the 3rd day ends. As soon as the locker opens, Jangin falls on the ground. He did not even have the strength to control his body. He barely raises his neck and looks up. Gwang looks at him and smirks and says, "These are the surrendering eyes I wanted to see." Then he orders to remove him from here. Jangin is lying on the ground and is unable to move. There was no energy left in him. Sunjo and His Excellency are standing there by the bars. They come and pick him up. We drive with support. Seeing his condition, Sunjo says, "You don't look well at all? Let's take it out quickly." As they walk, Jangin asks Sunjo, "Why is your face like that? Everything is fine, right?" Sunjo tells that the platoon leader beat him because he was with Jangin that day, and Excellency was also beaten because he spoke up for Sunjo. But Excellency smiles and says he's fine. Jangin looks at him and thinks, "What condition have you put him in?" He asks Sunjo, "Where are you taking me?" "I am hungry. I need something to eat." Sunjo says that there will be nothing to eat at the moment. All of them are gathered on the ground and fear is clearly visible on everyone's face. The platoon leader is fully ready for the fight. Jangin is also brought there. His condition is such that he can barely stand. Now he understands that as soon as he leaves the punishment room, he is being plotted against the platoon commander. The platoon leader remembers what Gwang told him. You have to save your reputation. Otherwise, you will not be able to lead after losing in front. He feels that this fight is already his. He just has to show that he is strong and defeat Jangin. Gwang laughs and says this looks exactly like a gladiator fight. But Yom doesn't laugh. Looking at Jangin, he says that looking at his condition, this seems more like an execution than a fight, but it will be fun to watch. Gwang gives the order to start the fight. Both are brought face to face. The referee gives them instructions and the fight starts as soon as the green signal is given. Jangin thinks that he just needed some rest. The platoon leader looks at his friends who are making some gestures. He remembers their conversation yesterday. He had told his friends that Jangin was very strong and he might not lose easily. But his friend suggested a way. His arms are injured. Just kick on that one. He will not be able to fight. The platoon leader admitted that this trick was cheap, but he could win. The fight begins and the platoon leader runs towards Jangin screaming. Jangin doesn't even move from his place. He no longer has the will to fight. He thinks kill him and finish everything. But then he remembers his injured arms and realizes that this fight cannot end like this. As the platoon leader kicks his arms, Jangin leans back and dodges him. The platoon leader is shocked. Jangin turns and lands a powerful back kick to his stomach. The platoon leader screams in pain. His face turns red. Yom is surprised to see this kick and wonders if he has learned martial arts. Gwang's mouth drops open and his laughter stops. The platoon leader's eyes and mouth are watering. He wonders if Jangin really just left the punishment room. If yes, then how is he so strong? Jangin sees the bruised faces of Sunjo and Excellency, who were attacked that day for supporting him. Seeing this, his anger and desire for revenge intensifies. Now his eyes are directly on the platoon leader, who now knows what is going to happen to him. As soon as Jangin kicked him in the face, his nose broke and started bleeding. He fell to the ground with just one blow. It seemed as if all the eyes had forgotten to blink. Every face was in shock. Jangin still hadn't calmed down. He started kicking him continuously on his face. The platoon leader's friends were trembling with fear. He couldn't see what was happening. Sunjo got excited and started cheering again. His Excellency was also happy and said that he always had faith in Jangin. The platoon leader looked half dead. Foam was coming out of his mouth. Jangin went to Gwang and asked, "Are you satisfied now?" Gwang laughed and said, "You are a very funny guy. Yes, I am relieved now." Jangin was about to say something when his eyes closed automatically and he fell to the ground. The referee ran over to him and checked. Gwang asked, "What happened to him?" The referee looked at his face and said, "He is sleeping." Gwang laughed and said, "This guy is really entertaining. I have a fun idea for him." Jangin was sleeping peacefully, but suddenly his eyes opened. He saw Sunjo standing beside him, excitedly watching as he regained consciousness. Jangin looked very weak and was unable to open his eyes properly. He asked in a low voice, "What happened?" Sunjo said nonchalantly, "You were asleep, so I brought you here, and yes, I skipped work today so that I could be with you." Jangin tries to get up and then his eyes fall on the ribbon and keys tied on his hand. He asks Sunjo, "What is this?" Sunjo tells that while you were sleeping, the vice president made you the new leader of the 3rd platoon. Jangin in shock asks him, "Are you telling the truth?" On the other hand, Gwang and Yom are in the office. Yom looks a bit worried. Gwang is making tea, sugar and milk. All three put 2 spoons each. He gives the cup to Yom and says, "Drink carefully. It is hot." Yom asks while sipping tea, "What were you thinking at that time?" Gwang says, "Did you not like the taste of the tea? I am feeling fine." Yom says, "I am not talking about tea. I am asking, why did you make Jangin the platoon leader?" Gwang replies that the first and most important thing is that the old leader turned out to be weaker than we thought and Jangin turned out to be stronger than we thought. Therefore, he will be useful to us whenever needed. Yom says that according to him, Jangin is not a normal fighter. He is a trained fighter. He talks about his fighting style and says that if his arms heal completely then we might not be able to control him. Gwang replies, "Don't you know?" Yom asks what? Gwang says we only need 1 employee to control a platoon. Doesn't this seem strange to you? He asks him to imagine. If 20 or 30 inmates attack that 1 employee simultaneously, what will he do alone? Physically, he will definitely lose. But still no inmate crosses the line. Why so? Yom says there could be 2 reasons for this. First, they gossip about each other. Secondly, they feel that if they do anything, the other employees will immediately come and they will be taken to the punishment room. Gwang says that is not the real reason. The real reason is the feeling of fear and helplessness that controls them. Then he gives an example that in Southeast Asia, when elephants are trained, small elephants are tied and beaten with iron hooks so that they become afraid of humans. Even when they grow up and can crush a human being, they do not do anything because they are afraid. Jangin is the same way. We have to train him just like the other inmates have been trained. Yom asks if it was really necessary to make him platoon leader. Gwang says yes, this position will relax him a bit. With time, he will start considering this place as his home, like everyone else does. Now Jangin is lying on his bed and 2 boys are sitting on the floor near him. They apologize to him saying that they are sorry for what they did earlier. Jangin was told that the previous platoon leader had been sent to the ward after the fight. Now his old followers are on their knees begging for their lives. Jangin says that he can't even forgive himself. How to do others? His face becomes sad. Then he says that he is new here. No one holds any grudges against him, so is he. Hearing this, both of them relax a bit. Jangin asks him to look back and says, "You are apologizing to me." But the real apology should be sought from those inmates whose faces clearly show that they are in a mood to take revenge. As soon as Jangin yawned, he said that they should talk it out and settle the matter as he was about to go back to sleep. Both of them were still saying again and again, "Please save us." But Jangin turned his face away and went back to sleep. When he woke up, he started wondering whether someone could be so happy just by lying down like this. Then his eyes fell on those keys and armband. He remembered that when he came out of the punishment room, they wanted to teach him a lesson. They wanted to salvage some respect from the platoon leader's previous defeat. But then one punch of his turned everything around and their entire plan was ruined. Perhaps that's why he was sent to the ward. Because after losing twice, he had become useless to them. Even Jangin could understand the plan. But what could be the motive behind making him the platoon leader now? Do they think he'll become addicted to the taste of power like the previous guy was, and then they'll be able to control him? Jangan smugly says, how adorable. Do they really think he is such a person? Or has he never seen any smart person around him? Don't they know that not every person is selfish like them? For now, Jangan decides that he will listen to them because this is the best option for now. In the next scene, we see that today is the grand opening of the casino and dining lounge at the Daesan Hotel. The decoration has been done according to the entire theme. Taemoon and Senator Choi are ready to cut the ribbon. The anchor announces the ribbon-cutting ceremony and begins the countdown. As soon as the ribbon is cut, the media is covering the entire event. Senator Choi shakes hands with Taemoon and congratulates him on his big day. He says it was worth the wait. Taemoon bows his head in respect and says that it is all because of Senator Choi. But in his mind, he is abusing him. If this guy had gone around acting as a middleman between me and Gwanho, I wouldn't have had to wait so long. Then the senator's secretary reminds him that it is time for his next appointment. Choi leaves and says we will meet soon and continue the rest. Taemoon still bows and says best wishes for your trip. His personal secretary quietly says, "Sir, he has left. Now stand up straight." Taemoon starts getting worried that the senator will call him to meet him again. He tells his secretary that another apple box needs to be prepared. Then he tells everyone, let's go out and eat. Someone asks, "Sir, where should we go?" Taemoon says, let's go to the same dumpling place but order anything today. Treat on me. His underlings take full advantage of this opportunity and order a lot of food. But today Taemoon is also happy, so he is also enjoying. His secretary serves him a drink and says, "Sir, you have done a good job." Suddenly Taemoon gets into a bit of a gloomy mood. The secretary asks, "Sir, why the sudden sadness?" He says, "If you are worried about the money to be given to the senator, then don't worry. This new business will bring in a lot of money." Taemoon takes another sip and says money is great, but everything feels boring these days. He says that when he started, everything was interesting. The rules were strongest survives. And accordingly, I removed the weak ones and reached here. But now, even after this success, I have to bow down to those who are above me. Business rules are dirty. After dinner, he bids farewell to his people who are bowing before him and showing respect. While returning home, he tells the driver to drop him there. The secretary says, "Sir, you are far from home right now and you are also drunk." But Taemoon insists, "I just want to take a little walk. This will make me sober." Suddenly, Gwanho and his men appear before him. Taemoon smiles and says, "Where is everyone else? Are they still in the hospital?" Gwanho looks angrily and says, "I have to ask some questions, that is why I have come." Taemoon says, "You know the rules. If you defeat me, you will get the answer." Gwanho grits and orders his men to attack. Taemoon also gets ready and says, "I am completely sober now." Gwanho had given strict instructions. Taemoon has to be caught at any cost. As the attack begins, Gwanho and his men, fully prepared and armed with weapons, attack Taemoon and attack him head-on. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Comment and tell us which part you found most interesting. And yes, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so quickly. Also press the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. See you in the next video. Till then, take care and thanks for watching.